Hey, what's up, guys? So this video here is a chat that I did with the Harvard Poker Club. It was a really fun chat. They asked some interesting questions. Thought you guys might like to hear it, so posting it up here on the second channel. Thanks so much to those guys for having me. I had a really good time and enjoyed the questions that people had to ask. We played a PokerStars home game tournament after that. Didn't include it in this video, mainly because I busted well before the money. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy the vid. See you guys soon.
All right, welcome everyone. My name is Dasha. I'm one of the co-presidents of the Harvard Poker Club along with Aaron, and we'll be moderating today's event. So first, we want to start off with a brief overview of the Harvard Poker Club for those of you who are new. We're a pretty new club formed just last semester. We have over 200 members. We run weekly poker games and workshops. We host guest speaker events and run tournaments. Our mission is to create an inclusive space where people can play poker regularly, improve their game, and socialize. We're open to poker players of all levels and level of interest. We know that there are some Harvard class of 2025 members in the audience, and we want to say a special shout out to you guys. Welcome. We hope you join Harvard. We hope you join the Harvard Poker Club. We're happy to have you here. So before we get into the main Q&A, let's just start off with some housekeeping. So the first roughly 30 minutes of this are going to be moderated Q&A, and then the last 20 minutes will be a live Q&A. For the live Q&A portion, message Aaron or I your questions, and we'll call on people to unmute themselves and ask. You should know that this event is being recorded and might be uploaded to Andrew's YouTube channel at some point, and even our YouTube channel. One of those is much cooler than the others. So if you're going to ask a question, just be comfortable with the fact that, this is being recorded and might be uploaded to the internet. If you have a question but you don't want to be recorded, you can also ask Aaron or I to ask the question for you, or just don't turn your camera on. So after the live Q&A, we'll take a 10-minute break and then we'll start the tournament. So the tournament will start at 8:10. You can stay on the call if you have any questions for us about how to set up. But if you're good to go, then just feel free to hop off the call once the Q&A is done and then get ready for the tournament. And the 3 highest ranked participants in the tournament will win gift cards for Andrew's clothing line, Favorable Apparel, which he has generously donated. So we would highly encourage you to participate in the tournament if possible. Okay, awesome. Now I'll pass it over to Aaron to introduce Andrew.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aaron, as Dasha mentioned. I'm one of the other co-presidents of HPC, and we're very excited to have Andrew Neeme here tonight to speak with us. For those who don't know, Andrew Neeme is a professional poker player from Michigan and has been playing full-time for over 10 years. He started one of the very first poker vlogging channels on YouTube all the way back in October 2016. And he also created the meetup game concept and has hosted games in Canada, the UK, and all parts of the US. Today, his YouTube channel has over 150,000 subscribers and over 200 vlogs uploaded. And Andrew is a 4-time Global Poker Index Awards winner, 3 times for Vlogger of the Year, 1 time for Poker Personality of the Year, and he also earns his own merch line. Andrew, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Lovely intro. Well done.
Thank you. It's not like you just sent me the bonus or anything. Anyways, so with our previous speakers, the very first question that we've been asking them is just how you've got into poker in general, and we would like to start there as well. So, Andrew, if you could tell us a little bit about how you were introduced to poker in your life and how it especially became such a big part in your life, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, so you guys got a little bit of a head start compared to where I was at, because I didn't start playing poker until I was already out of college. So I went to Michigan State University, and I was a telecommunications major. So if you don't know what that is, it's basically like the study of the transferring of information over any form of media that you can think of. So that includes everything from the internet to cell phones to film, TV, radio, anything like that. So basically, it's a very wide-ranging field. And you learn a little bit about all these different aspects of those different fields. So as you could imagine, you're not really specialized in any one thing. And I guess during my time at Michigan State, it kind of had some guesses as to maybe some things I wanted to do. Like people were starting to get excited about cell phone technology. This was pre-iPhone though, so I don't know how excited you could really get. Yeah, I'm that old, but so I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. Wasn't sure which direction I was going to go in. I did a study abroad program in London, and the program that I did that through, they offer like a traditional study abroad, and they also offer an internship program through like, I don't know how many numbers of companies that they have relationships with. So I did the study abroad program, loved it, had a great time in London, set myself up with classes on Tuesday and Thursday. I had all the other days off. So I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday to go traveling around Europe while I was over there. And then not really a whole lot of classes, but loved it over there because it was my first time out of, I don't know, I'd been to Canada. Growing up in Michigan, it's easy to shoot over to Canada. But that was, aside from that, my first time out of the country. So loved it, and decided to go back and do the internship program, and did an internship with a music promotion company. And that was a really cool company. It was very small. It was like basically the two guys that ran the company and maybe one other employee and then me. And they had sort of built their company up by working on projects that they really enjoyed. So they only worked on bands that they really enjoyed, DJs that they really enjoyed working with, and the music that they produced. And that sort of format, that formula, allowed them to build a really successful company, and really enjoyed my time in that field. So I decided to pursue the music industry thing into once I had moved back into the United States. Went to California to continue down that path, Los Angeles, and worked for a similar company, similar in function, but it wasn't really nearly as enjoyable because basically it was the same sort of like music promotion company where they're working on artists, their new releases, getting them out into the hands of radio stations and street teams and things like that. But they basically worked on anybody that would throw money at them. So it was like a very different sort of feel for the company. Just didn't really dig it as much as the company that I worked for in London. And then just started like trying to find a company that I enjoyed working for as much as as the one I did when I was in the UK. And around this time is when poker was really sort of initially exploding. I moved to LA in, I think, 2004, and started working for those companies. I think it was the end of 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007. Not really finding as much enjoyment as I did off the bat, and sort of like accidentally fell into poker at this time when a lot of other people were doing that as well. So online poker was exploding at this time. The moneymaker boom kicked off. He won it in 2003. Tournament poker is all over television. Online poker in a global marketplace is accessible everywhere, and online poker is generally a lot easier at that time than it is now. So just like those two combinations of situations where originally went to California to do one thing, wasn't really enjoying it or finding all that much success or enjoyment out of it. Poker was ramping up. I dabbled in like a few different of the online poker sites, PokerStars, Full Tilt. Probably, I don't know if I got into Ultimate Bet at that time, but eventually found this little site called Bugsy's Club where it was so soft. I mean, that can't really be like overstated. It's just like I started in the micro stakes, because I wasn't really like putting in a ton of work and didn't really, I certainly didn't consider myself much of a professional or even a semi-pro at the time, but started in the micro stakes, started at like 2 cent, 4 cent, and kept a 20 buy-in bankroll rule. And every time I had 20 buy-ins for the next stake up, I would move up. And it took me like, I think about a year to get up to like 35K. So $35,000 from 2 cent, 4 cent, moving up through the stakes. And so the poker landscape, of course, this is like well before Black Friday. Just seemed like it seemed like it was endless. It seemed like the sky was the limit, and it just kind of made it easy for one who was kind of like maybe disillusioned with one industry that they were chasing originally, with all this stuff exploding in the poker thing, to just fire at that and give it a shot and move into that full time.
So you make it sound like it was kind of a simple decision to become a pro, but I'm sure it wasn't that simple. So I'm curious, like, was that a difficult decision for you? Like, what sorts of things did you have to think through? How did the people around you react?
Yeah. So this was around 2007 and 2008. So the economy wasn't doing all that well in those years. And the last job I had in Los Angeles started out as a full-time job, but as the economy kind of slowed down, that job, that company that I was working for, they got a few less projects that I was supposed to be working on when they hired me. That were it was assumed that I would be working on projects, and then they ended up kind of like trickling and not coming in as perceived. So the job that I had, first it became part-time job, which meant more time for online poker. Then it became a work from home job, and then became a freelance job, which just meant more time for poker, more time for online poker. So the one was like literally slowing down while the other was ramping up. And it just sort of like, it became like a natural off ramp from the job situation into the online poker situation, which is like, it makes it easier when it's like nice and slow. When that transition is nice and slow. And I think when people are thinking about getting into poker full time, they think about it as like, well, this is like an insane leap to make from whatever career I'm in into something where I have no idea how much money I'm going to be making. But I think making that transition as slow as possible is the most ideal way to go about doing that. So like if you're working a job, you can go play in the evenings or go play in the weekends, and you're keeping track of all your hours and your income and what your hourly rate is. And you can sort of get a good sense. It's not going to be an exact sense, but you can get a decent sense of what your income is going to be looking like. That's not to say that it's going to be like more stressful when you don't have the padding of the full-time job and benefits and all those things that go along with it. But if you can make that transition as slow as possible and sort of wean your way off of one into the other, if you are thinking about going full-time, then I think that's the way to do it. And that made it a lot easier for me to get into it.
Great. So I actually think this is a perfect segue to talk about your blogs. So you first uploaded your first vlog in 2016, October, at a time when like no one else was doing this. So at this point, you already had started kind of playing full time. So could you describe the process of even coming up with the idea of a poker vlog and then deciding that this to actually be like a potentially full-time career?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. It's like, there's just kind of like a lot of, I don't know, a couple parallels to moving into full-time poker and then moving into the blogging thing. Because usually when there's some sort of a transition like this, it coincides with some level of like, I don't know, unhappiness, or like something is missing in whatever the thing is that you're doing. At least that's what happened for me both times, because when I first started the blog, there was probably like, I don't know, as a professional poker player, you sort of are always questioning, is this the thing that's going to be, for me for, the next 10 years of my life? Is this going to be my career? There's always going to be so many questions, especially when things are going rough. So those kinds of questions, I think, started like creeping up more and more in my head. Like, I don't know, probably for a couple of years before I started the videos. So it's not like I just, came up with an idea to film a video, film a vlog, and then did it. There was all sorts of questions about, I wonder if this should be the thing that I'm going to do full time, like ongoing. What other things am I interested in? What else could I devote some time to? And it's like, it's hard to really grasp that when you're not playing poker full time, because there's a lot of people that view professional poker as this like dream life. And I definitely don't want to sound like I'm not like grateful to be able to do that, to be able to go down to the Vegas Strip and play cards whenever I want to. It definitely has its perks, that's for sure. But for me, I think there was something that was a little bit lacking, like a little bit of creativity to it. When you play poker, there's the uptick and the downtick of your net worth, and then there's often not too much else to show for it at the end of the day. So for, I don't know, a year or so before I started my vids, I was watching Casey Neistat do his thing. He's, I don't know if everyone knows who that is, but he's more of a mainstream vlogger. He's sort of like defined the daily vlog genre when he started his channel and developed his blog series over the course of a couple of years. So he would also talk about like how it's this really cool way to just connect immediately with an audience, build an audience, do whatever you want, tell the story, and not have to like ask permission for some sort of intermediary, like a TV network, something like that. You can just do whatever you want, post it, make the next one, post it. And I just sort of wondered if something might apply, some of these lessons might apply to poker, because a lot of the media was really focused on real high stakes stuff at the time. So like high stakes poker, even like the WSOP main event is $10,000 to buy into. So a lot of the media and a lot of the productions were focused on stuff that was like, you know, beyond a dream for a lot of people. It's like games that people would never, ever be able to play in. And so I thought maybe we could apply this blog thing to more of like an everyday sort of life or perspective on that life, play games and showcase games that the wider audience, more people in the audience are actually playing. And yeah, decided to make a vlog and upload it and see what the reaction was.
Given how often like you post and you upload your vlogs, how much time do you put into any given vlog on average? And what goes into that process that we wouldn't necessarily know about just from watching the video?
Yeah, it's a grind for sure. It's like you're replacing one grind. The poker grind is an animal in itself, and then the video creation thing is quite a grind. Assuming you want it to like look a certain way. There's some videos that you can just record something, don't really put too much effort into editing it, and then off it goes onto the internet. But I was, like, as mentioned, mostly influenced by Casey Neistat's style, and I'm trying to like replicate things that he's doing and trying to make it look all pretty and presentable and add music and then you have to add graphics and all that stuff. So yeah, it's pretty work intensive. You're playing a full day of poker, like a full session, probably somewhere around 6 or 8 hours, or sometimes much longer. And then probably, the way I do it is I talk about the hands immediately after the session is over. So if you've seen some of my vlogs where my eyes are like bloodshot to all hell, and it's like 5 a.m. at the Bellagio, that's me like trying to capture it all in the environment that where things happened, and then go to sleep, wake up the next day, and upload all the footage onto the laptop, crack open Premiere Pro, and then get after it. And it takes, for me to edit my videos, it takes somewhere around I guess on average maybe like 10 hours to edit a video. And for some reason, some sick reason, I like to like do it all in one go. I don't like to come back to it the next day. I like to just crank it all out and then be done with it. So yeah, it's pretty draining. And I guess like the YouTube channel has, it's definitely become more of it's tough to really just define like what's my full-time job, because it's the YouTube channel is based around poker sessions, and there is some percentage of my income that comes from one thing, the other some percentage comes from YouTube, but I would say the YouTube channel has taken up probably somewhere around 70% of the time, from where poker used to be 100%. So now it's maybe like 70-30 YouTube/poker, something like that. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's definitely rewarding because it's given me a lot in life. It's taken me all over the place and to be able to connect with people all over the world is amazing, and it goes a lot further than that uptick and that downtick in my net worth that I mentioned previously.
Thank you for that. That's really interesting, especially to hear about the processes and what happens behind every video that we don't really see.
Yeah, I'm thinking about one of these days. I'm thinking about doing like a live stream of the editing process. I mean, I think people will get bored after like 5 minutes, but I was thinking about maybe doing that and just stream myself editing a whole video. We'll
I
see.
feel people like that. I also find it very amusing that it just feels like very poker-esque that instead of doing like a 10-hour grind at a casino, you're doing it at your computer, editing a vlog.
Yeah.
It just feels right. All right, so our next question, given that you have so many videos on your channel, 200 videos on your channel, like kind of expect like a pretty wide variety of like quality kind of. So our question is like, do you feel happy with every video on your channel? And like what specifically in your videos are you looking for that makes you feel like they're worthy or like ready to be uploaded?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like, there's often times when I'm editing a video, I'm like, this either this might be a little boring or I'm not really feeling the vibe, or for whatever reason, I don't know. But it usually comes out, I'm probably more critical about it than the audience is. So it usually comes out faring better than than I worry that it will. I think people are far less critical of it because it's a poker playing and poker fan audience. People watch it. People mainly watch it for the poker. So like if you go into the YouTube analytics, in the YouTube studio, they call it. So you can see like when people, it starts off, it'll give you like a percentage of people that are watching. So it starts off at 100. It dips down really quickly. And then, so people, you can tell when they fast forward to the poker section of the video, that's the like meat of the video that most people want to watch. And so if I'm like flying a drone around or if I'm babbling into the camera, people skip that part and they go to the poker. Not everybody, but the majority. So it's going to be tough to like, as long as people are getting, that poker, they're getting some sort of poker action, they're getting a hand, they're getting some thoughts on a hand, and they're walking through that session. It's going to be tough to like disappoint them too much. And so I'm probably like overly critical about some of these videos, but yeah, you can definitely like keep extending the editing process and tweaking things and adding in little things here and there to the videos. But at some point you just kind of have to be like, all right, this is good enough. I mean, I'm just doing that. I mean, you want to do things for yourself, but you don't want to just burn yourself out and keep extending the edit process longer and longer. You want to eventually decide that something's good enough to upload. That's another quote from Casey, is that perfection is the enemy of good enough. So you don't want to just keep waiting until something is perfect to create it or to share it. You want to post something that's good enough and then move on to the next one.
I'm curious, since the coronavirus pandemic has made it so that live poker can't really be played, at least for a period of time that wasn't possible. How did that change your life, right? Like, how did that change the nature of your vlogs and the sort of work that you were doing?
Yeah, it was I think for me it was kind of like kind of a unique situation, because before this, the year prior to this, my buddy Brad and I, so we hosted the meetup games together, and we were going pretty hard, pretty nonstop, like all over the country and internationally as well. And we had gone to London. I think it was that year. It was the start of 2020, and we had just done like a 4-day event in London. Came back, did an event in Los Angeles. So this had been going on for a year straight, where we would go like from stop to stop sometimes, and it was pretty hectic. And it was definitely like the kind of thing that you want to do, I think, when you're launching a brand and you're trying to get some really good traction for it, and you want to keep the momentum going. But on the other hand, we had conversations where I was like, we definitely can't keep this pace up, because it is just too much to be able to try and like play good poker at all these stops, meet people. They always want to have drinks, go edit a video after that, get on a plane, go to the next stop, and keep doing that and keep doing it over and over again. And then you're sleeping in all these, different locations. It's tough. It's probably sounds like whiny YouTuber / poker player, but it was a lot. And the coronavirus, put like a forced break into it all. And it was like, it was, you know, a definite like silver lining to all the shitty things that happened during that time. But you know, to be able to take a break and just lay low for a while and literally have nothing on the calendar, it was pretty nice to just be able to stay at home with my partner Boosie and just kind of enjoy each other's company and try and play some online poker as a now live reg, which was an adventure in itself.
So speaking of Brad Owen, so for those who don't know, Brad is also another poker vlogger, and many people see Andrew and Brad as sort of a dynamic duo of sorts. So our question is to you, how did you and Brad meet? And did you two decide to create poker channels independently, or did one start and then influence the other, or how did that work?
Yeah, I influenced him. But so we were playing the same games, pretty similar stakes, 2-5 and sometimes 5-10 around Vegas. So we would occasionally run into each other at the tables, but we didn't really, you know, communicate all that much. He kind of had his poker crew, and I had, you know, some other buddies and stuff. So we never really like, you know, chatted much or anything like that. So I started mine in October of 2016, and he thought that that was a pretty good idea and that there could be some other things that he could bring to the table, because mine was, you know, a little bit more like, I don't know, I guess I would describe it as like stylistic and maybe analytical with the poker hands and stuff. And he thought there was definitely some room for some comedy in there, and he was definitely right. So he, you know, he brought his own personality to it. He brought his own style to the videos, and fired his channel up maybe 3 months or 3 or 4 months after mine started. And then there's so many familiar faces in Las Vegas. It's a small town, and then you know, you're basically always going like either to the Strip or one or two other properties off the Strip. So you see a lot of the same people. You often like have friends of friends, you know, mutual friends in that manner. And so somebody introduced us, and I then reached out to him and said, like, you know what, we should link up on like a couple of collaborations here and there. And then had the idea for the meetup games to partner up on that as well. And that really became like, it's easier to do something like that, I think, when you have like a co-host. I think it becomes more of like a social thing rather than like, it's me, everyone come see me, I am, you know, presiding over this. I think it's much easier to have two people running something like that, where it's immediately more than one person. It's immediately social when there's more than one person there. So yeah, and it's cool to like be able to collaborate on something like that. Again, like going back to the poker thing, you're often on your own mission. You know, when you're playing poker hands, you know, you can talk about hands away from the tables, but when you're playing poker hands, you're on your own. And when you're working on a video, if you're like collaborating with somebody, or if you're co-hosting an event, you're there like with somebody else, and it's cool to like work with a team again on a project. So all that is all the benefits of linking up with somebody.
Awesome. So this will be our last question of the moderated Q&A portion. And then after that, we'll move into live Q&A. So if you have questions, please send them to Aaron or myself. But yeah, the last question that I kind of wanted to ask you that I'm curious about, and I'm sure many other people here are who have watched your vlogs, is, you know, how did you get to the point that you were so successful in vlogging? What do you think has made your channel so successful?
Well, timing was definitely a big part of it. I think timing is super important for when you're launching a project. And so there was some of you guys might know a guy named The Trooper. He goes by The Trooper. His name is Tim. And he was making videos in Vegas before I was. And he was occasionally showing poker, but it wasn't really, you know, he wasn't walking people through hands and his thought process and all that stuff. So aside from him doing his thing in Vegas, there was nobody else that was doing something like this. So it was sort of like figuring out a new way to it was like a new form of poker content where the market wasn't as nearly saturated, I guess, as it is right now. So being able to get out there and have first mover advantage, and be able to stand out from the crowd, is pretty key. And I don't know. I mean, like a lot of the rest of it is going to be subjective, I think. So I mean, I try to show the ups and the downs. So I try to make it real. Not try to I try get excited. I share my excitement when things go well in poker, and talk about like how annoying it can be when things are not going well, like they're definitely going to at times. So I think people kind of like they dig like the realness when somebody's doing something, when they're sharing their lives or talking about a project or something like that, something they can relate to. And again, it was like the stakes that people were actually playing, so like 1, 2, 2, 5, and 5, 10. These are very approachable games. Like the 5, 10 is it's a stake that a lot of people can't play or won't play, but maybe they can shoot for that goal. So yeah, it's just a little bit more grounded, I would say, and I just tried to make it as I don't know what the word is. I just tried, grounded. I just tried to keep it like as base level and on the same level as the people that are going to be watching it and the games that they're going to be playing in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I want to call on Daniel to ask his question.
What's up, Daniel?
Hey, what's up? Nice to talk to you. I watch your videos all the time. They're awesome.
Thanks, man.
I noticed you've been playing some PLO more recently.
Yeah.
So could you sort of walk me through the process of how you started getting into that game and, what you think about it, how you see your videos moving forward? Do you think you're going to focus more on that game? What resources you use, etc.?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've dabbled as a, I don't know, like recreational probably player, like break even PLO player for years. I mean, I was always like, I've always found it fun, just because there's more action. I feel like there's more action generally in the game. People are playing more hands just because they think, you get more cards and they think that there's going to be more opportunity to make a hand. But they don't make the next step, which is you don't want to just make a hand. You want to make a strong hand. You want to make the winning hand. And then they don't, there's a lot of strategy nuances that they're also not aware of. But yeah, so I always just kind of like enjoyed it. Once again, like throwing it back to the theme of like maybe being a little, there being like a little bit of discontent with what I'm up to. Like I've been doing this no limit hold'em thing in Vegas for like over 10 years, and it was like the online thing in LA before coming here, and just really drilling down on the no limit games and the strategy and all that stuff. And probably some level of burnout with that. The no limit environment, the no limit landscape here in Vegas is not all that enticing. If you stick to like graveyard shift, then you'll probably do fine. But it seems like the ceiling keeps getting lower and lower for no limit in Vegas. And I think Vegas has been the toughest place to play no limit hold'em for a long time now. Just because it's like the cost of living is relatively low compared to some other poker hotspots or whatever. So a lot of professionals will move here. They want to enjoy the Vegas lifestyle and all that stuff goes along with it. Yeah, it just becomes like tougher and tougher. The ladder seems to just get less enticing and harder to climb. So to go from 510 up to 1020 is a really big jump, because often that 1020 game at the Bellagio plays like 10-20-40 like regularly, or even like with an 80 big blind straddle or whatever it is, and it's uncapped, and it's like a huge jump up from the 510 at the Bellagio. So there's all these like private games that are popping up all over the place, and it's not like it used to be where you could just show up, but probably find a reasonably good game and then like keep marching up that ladder. It's a little bit tougher these days. But PLO seems like a lot of the gambler crowd has moved into PLO, especially like in other parts of the country. Like if you go down to Texas, PLO is huge. Houston is like the PLO capital of the country right now. And I know it's played elsewhere as well, but yeah, it seems like there's been a lot of times when I go to a casino and the biggest stacks are in the PLO games, and it seems like that's where the most action is found. So I've been not dabbling. I've been playing a lot lately, and I got into the study mainly through Dylan Wiseman. I did a couple of videos with him recently on my channel. He's the coach at Upswing Poker, and his stuff is like, the way he presents it is just like really digestible, which is pretty key if you're trying to figure out this poker thing. You need to have the information presented to you in a way that resonates with you, and for me, he's been able to do that. So yeah, gonna chase this thing. I think when I travel outside of Vegas, I'll still happily play No Limit, but I think when I'm in Vegas, I would like to focus at least a little bit more, maybe a lot more time on PLO.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Our next question is from Alex Dane.
Hey, Andrew. Thanks so much for coming to speak with us today. I really enjoy watching and learning from your vlogs.
Sure, man. How's it going?
I was just wondering, this is more of a no limit question, but I was wondering if you had advice for someone who's only played in tournaments and is looking to like switch into live cash, like 1-2 games. Like, are there any major tips kind of to be profitable at these lower stakes?
It's like in the lowest stakes, it's just like the main approach is that people generally don't like to fold. So it can often be kind of boring because you're usually just like waiting for good hands and then punishing them that way. Especially in Vegas, people come all the way, like they come from other parts of the country to get in a, they come to have fun, right? They come to Vegas to enjoy themselves. And I've always said, like, what's the least fun thing to do in a poker game when it's your turn? I think folding is the least fun thing to do. So you basically want to make adjustments that capitalize on that tendency, and you're basically just gonna be waiting for good hands. But if you've studied tournament poker, then you're going to be on a pretty good path already. You just kind of have to like make some deep stack adjustments. But like if you've studied like early stage, like 100 big blind deep tournaments, then it's really not going to be all that different. The opening sizes are going to be much bigger on average compared to tournaments. In a 5-10 game, or in a 1-2 game, often the opening size is going to be 5x or whatever. So just figuring out some deep stack nuances and going from there. But I think if you put in work in your tournament game, then you've guaranteed. I would assume that you have an edge over like the low stakes field, because most people haven't put any work in whatsoever.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Our next question is from Charlie.
Hi. My question is, what is or was your greatest thrill / moment in live poker? Like most memorable moment?
It's crazy. Like, I mean, when I'm playing, when I think about like the cash game career, it's like, it just all melds into one. It's like, there's so many hands at this point where it becomes, like, I've seen like all the bad beats possible, like I've had quads over quads. I've had top set lose to smaller set that makes quads. So I mean, yeah, like there's the occasional hand like that stands out. There was a quads over quads moment that was captured when I went to Run It Up Reno, and I was playing one of the tournaments. So that's like hilarious, and especially to have it captured because it was on the live stream table in the tournament, and to have that captured is pretty cool. But yeah, I think like as a cash game player, you might be like robbing yourself a little bit if you choose to play cash games full time instead of playing tournaments, because the tournament players, they get all these massive exciting moments and stuff, when they take down a tournament, and they have all their friends there and family there watching at the final table. Those seem like the true memorable moments. But yeah, I don't know, it's like kind of sad. Maybe it's a little bit jaded to like have all these years of poker moments and to just be like, yeah, it's just poker,
All right. Yeah, and as Dasha said, please keep sending your questions. Our next one will be from Blake Woodford.
What's up, Blake?
Hey, Andrew. Love your vlogs. Been watching for a while since you played in, I want to say the World Series back like 3 or 4 years ago.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, but I guess like with COVID, you mentioned having like an online background and moving into live cash and then going back online with COVID. What was that experience like, and what didn't you expect like moving back online?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. At first, when COVID happened and everyone was quarantined, everybody was looking for a game online. So off the bat, the games were actually like pretty soft, especially for the online environment, because there were so many people that didn't play online that were suddenly online. So even though I didn't have a lot of the fundamentals down that as sharply as the online grinders did, I was able to do okay for a while. But eventually, a lot of those people were like, "Oh wait, this is not quite the same. It's either like not quite as enjoyable, or I'm kind of floundering around and losing money, and fuck this, I'm out of here." So the numbers dipped as kind of expected. And then, yeah, I didn't really, I think I was, probably break even. I was playing on one of the apps, and I was playing on WSOP, which is the regulated site here in Vegas, and not really finding too much success. I think I was about break even, definitely not much better than that. And I don't know. I just, I kind of like use that as another cue to take a break. And also, like, at the time, the equities markets and cryptocurrency was really interesting and enticing. And so I ended up spending a lot more time in there than I was playing online poker. And so I would, looking at stocks every morning and waking up at times that I'm not used to waking up at, but happily doing so, because it's actually like really fun when the market's up every single day. So I was doing that, and then eventually realized, well, if I am going to be like still doing this poker thing and running this YouTube channel, I probably need to figure something out about poker, and I need to actually try. So started getting into the training sites. Started with Run It Once, and then later on linked up with Dylan to do some coaching for the PLO stuff. And it was actually like pretty, energizing and interesting for me to get into the game, to get into PLO. And like, I saw results like pretty quickly. I feel like I have an edge now in the online player pool, which that's pretty fun, because before, like I said, I was just kind of break even ish. So yeah. And then moving back to live poker, it's always going to be a little bit softer after playing online, but you have to remember how to stay patient in the live games, which is that big adjustment. That's something that like online players have struggled with when playing live games for years. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like the live games right now, it's like, it's got some positives and negatives to it, because it's like we got the plexiglass situation going on right now, and you have to wear a mask the entire time, which can get a little bit uncomfortable. But it's better than having no games. And yeah, they're definitely softer than online. So it's been fun.
Awesome, thanks. Next question is from Daniel Rafter.
I was kind of curious whether you felt like the process of actually going through and making the vlogs kind of like makes you a better player. Because one thing I've really noticed is, when I actually reflect on hands and like send them to other people and go through like each decision that I made, that's really where I feel like I'm getting a lot better, more so than just kind of mindlessly playing for hours and like never really going back to think about it. So I was just kind of curious whether you thought that vlogging makes you better, or if it's more of kind of a hindrance of finding more time to study.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good point. So it's kind of another give and take kind of a thing. It definitely takes time away from poker overall. So, I mean, I guess the thing is that, would I have ever, found motivation to get good or get really good at poker if I didn't start a blog? And the answer is probably no. I probably would have done something else, because like I said, there's probably some reason why I started the blog, and there's, maybe a little bit of discontent going on with with myself and poker overall. So yeah, I think like the vlogs definitely help my game to a degree. I don't think it's as good as some other methods. Like people who are getting into solvers and like pouring over that work, with other full-time players, and doing coaching and training sites and all that stuff. I think that's definitely a level above. But for sure, like it's definitely better than just playing a session and then forgetting about it, just going to the bar and then, go play the next session. So yeah, for me, like going over hands, when I watch it back, when I watch myself talking about it, and then I put like the graphics up on the screen and I'm like watching the hand unfolds. And there's definitely been times where I'll think that I shouldn't have done that. Like I should have done something else. And then you get the benefit of the YouTube audience telling you all the things that you should or shouldn't have done, which I would say like 90% of the time is not all that worthwhile to hear from them when it comes to poker information. But 10% of the time you can tell when like somebody has done the work, and like the way that they write out a comment and they make a suggestion, you can pretty easily separate that information and where they're coming from the noise, so yeah, there are times where it's like I'll get actually like proper feedback, or somebody will message me on the side, somebody that I actually know, they'll message me about a hand that they saw me play. So that's definitely happened as well. So yeah, it's definitely beneficial, and like taking the time to get, like you said, like away from the mindless routine of it all and into something where you're engaged, where your brain is actually engaged. That's gonna show a difference for sure.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good question, Daniel. Thanks for asking that. So our next question will be from Zach Roberts.
Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, so I've seen on your blog, and I always thought it was really funny about like fans running into you at meetup games. And I was wondering if you had like a funniest story about a fan meeting up with you at a meetup game.
Funniest story. I think we've gotten pretty lucky to where no one has like creeped us out too much. So we haven't had anybody who's been like really sketchy. So that's been nice. I was doing this mail on the couch thing where like I have a PO box, and like people would send in, either a letter or like a $1 chip or something from their home casino or whatever they wanted to send. And somebody sent me this like this doll. I'll never forget. It was like the weirdest thing someone sent me. It was like this there's the casino here, the Rio, and it was like this doll that was like this big, called Rio Rita. And the guy was like, here's a, I don't know what he said. Here's Rio Rita. You could do whatever you want to her, or something like that. I was like, okay, cool. Thanks for that, buddy. So that was like the weirdest thing that anyone's ever sent to me, for sure. But yeah, we haven't had to have any restraining orders put in place, so that's good.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yep.
So the next question is from Michael.
Hey, Andrew. Really, really excited to be here. I have two kind of short questions.
Hit me.
The first one was if you like, just a question on why you and Brad haven't considered taking like sponsors for your videos. I've noticed like maybe that's kind of a trend in the poker industry, vlogging wise, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. And then
all right, yeah, let me answer this one first. So I have done the occasional sponsored video. It's usually just like a one-off type of thing. I think the first one I did was with this staking group called I'm a Whale Staking. I remember they paid me like $300 or $350 or something for a video. This was like, I don't know, this might have been like first 30 videos or something, maybe even less, first 20. And then there's the occasional like activation that we do with one of the online poker sites. So I've gone to like Barcelona a couple times with Party Poker and with 888 Poker, and recently I went to Detroit to do some live streaming, and that was an activation with PokerStars to sort of make people aware of the platform that's launched in Michigan recently. What else? So I went to like Montreal. We did a meetup game there, and then the other things that we do often is so these meetup games, it's a partnership with the casinos that's hosting it. So I think the best way to figure out an activation or like a brand partnership or whatever is to figure out how to bring value to everybody. And so like if the people that are showing up to the meetup games are having a really good time, if they know there's going to be like 15 5-5 games or something that they can select from and hang out with the people that they like to that the creators that they like to watch. And you know, we've heard people say that it's the most fun they've had playing poker in a long time. That's awesome. The casino benefits, of course, getting 15 games together. That's kind of a no-brainer. And then they also get the marketing factor from the YouTube channel. And they yeah, so obviously they're going to be satisfied with it from that regard. And then if they can support us, if, you know, because we've always wanted to make the content up to this point has always been free. Meetup games, free to attend. As long as the audience is getting everything for free, the idea has been to charge or have the content eventually paid for by the people, the entities that have the most money. So that is the online poker sites and the casinos. So if we can partner with those guys, then I think that's probably going to work out okay, as long as like no one's doing anything shady. But we're trying to always try to play the long game. You know, I've tried to hold out as long as possible. And it seems like the online poker landscape is looking brighter over the past, you know, handful of months. And it seems like we'll see some developments this year. Yeah, that's kind of been the plan, is just kind of hold off for as long as possible and eventually work with a company that is not in the gray area, so to speak.
That's really insightful. Thank you. I don't have to ask the second question. I don't want to take up too much more time. But appreciate the
I got nowhere else to be. It's cool.
Okay.
I can't speak for everyone else, but
just a really short one. Other than Brad, I guess, who would you say is like your favorite poker pro or someone that you really studied growing up? I know you mentioned Chris Moneymaker. I assume you didn't study Brad really, but yeah.
So I think Antonio Esfandiari was like for a long time my favorite like well-known professional poker player. I always liked how he always included his family and his friends in all of his successes. You know, like his dad was always there with him. You know, you see his dad out at the club with him and stuff. And I always thought that was really cool. And he was always like, you know, real big personality at the tables and stuff. Not that I'm like Mr. Talkative at the tables myself, but yeah, just kind of always like looked up to him a little bit. I think he's doing the home game thing these days in LA, even before like all this madness. He's been hosting a meetup, not a meetup game, a home game, and living that life with his family these days.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Yep.
All right. Coming down to our last two questions. Robert Cunningham, you got the next one?
Cool. Hey, Andrew.
What's up, man?
Not much. Doing pretty well. Something that I really admire about you is it seems like you treat video making like really as a discipline. Like it's obvious from your like even your like second or third video are like quite well produced and you can like already see the influence of Casey, I guess.
Thanks, man.
I imagine that this is something that you think about quite actively. Like I don't know, like how like the skill of making videos itself. And I'm curious if you can comment a bit on like your progression as like at like the craft of making videos. Do you know the thing I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. If you go back and watch my earlier videos, like the first year or so, they move at like such a slower pace. Like the way I'm talking about, you know, whether it's hands or whatever I'm talking about, it's so slow. It's like, it's kind of cringy for me to go back and watch it. The first video that I made, it took me 2 days to figure out how to edit, because a lot of that time was spent like looking up on YouTube, how do you insert a transition? How do you insert text? You know, and like figuring out all these things that I have no idea how to do. So yeah, 2 days. And then eventually, you know, you whittle that time down. And then, yeah, like just, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, you hit it on a little bit. I definitely pay attention a little bit more, I think, than like the average viewer, whether it's like a YouTube video or a movie or something that I'm watching. I'll think like, oh, that was like a clever shot. You know, that was like a really cool shot you know, in that cinematography. So yeah, I don't know, like, eventually figured out that like got to pick up the pace here a little bit. Like even though I'm using a lot of jump cuts, it seems like there's tons of videos on YouTube these days that the kids are watching where they don't mind the jump cuts, you know. So it's like a little bit more jerky than I don't know, videos might have been a handful of years ago, but I don't think anybody really cares so much as long as like the pace is a good one and it's keeping people's attention. So yeah, I've always like nerded out a little bit on it. I think I kind of something that's like something I think that is true for me across whatever I'm doing is that I get up to like a certain level of like nerdiness about something, and then I don't go like too deep in the weeds. Like I want to just do the thing. I don't want to like keep, you know, figuring out the next little detail and just go on forever. I kind of just want to like do it. So it's been that way for me with poker. Like I've, you know, talk hands with, you know, countless numbers of hands with friends, watch tons of videos and stuff, but the solver stuff is not going to be for me. I'm not going to be in there tinkering with solvers. I need somebody who's going to be able to give me like the summary of that stuff. So somebody who's doing that stuff is going to be a better player than me, but I would probably just give up at some point with all of it if I was going to be in there. And I think that applies to my poker or my YouTube videos as well. You know, so like I'll figure out how to put a video together, figure out some transitions, find a bunch of artists, musical artists that I like, and I'll use their stuff, and then I'll have my videos, and then I'll reach that limit and then stay there.
Awesome. Andrew, this will be our last question for the night, just so you know.
Okay.
I actually got asked this by multiple people. So it's not, our last question is, do you have any plans for having a meetup game in Boston once the coronavirus is all cleared up?
Yeah. So I don't know what the situation is with the Encore. I think they closed their poker room. Do you know?
It's still closed. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the last I heard, unfortunately. I know there's a couple other rooms. There's like this Boston billiards place. And we've been in touch with those guys. But just it hasn't worked out, haven't figured out where to put it on the calendar and all that stuff. So would love to make it out there. We went out to MGM Springfield. Unfortunately, that room is closed now too, it looks like. So kind of a bummer in a couple spots. But yeah, I mean, we're just now starting to talk about putting some games together and putting them on the calendar. So it looks like Texas will probably be the first spot where we return to in June, I think, early June. And then after that, it's pretty wide open. But we'll definitely be looking to get back to the East Coast when we can.
Awesome. If need be, we can always host you. Somehow.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that would be awesome. That would be really cool to do. So we can chat about it.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, Dasha, you want to close us up?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Andrew, for taking the time to chat with us today. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah. If I could say one more thing, I think it's really cool that you guys have this group here, and shout out to the creators of the group, Aaron and Dasha, I think, and it's you know, regardless of what happens with your poker career, you know, if it becomes something that's like, if you ever consider going full time, or if it's gonna be like a part-time thing or not even, I think it's pretty cool to have something like this where you're connecting with people over something that you are interested in, and keeping in touch with those people, I think, is going to be pretty beneficial, like later on, even if you have no idea what the hell you're going to do at this point in your lives, which I would expect should be the case for a lot of you, just based on personal experience. But it's, if you look at like people that are playing poker across industries, you know, you see people at all levels. If there was like a recent Poker After Dark where it was like a bunch of the Silicon Valley guys, like Chamath and David Sachs and Jason Calcanis, they were all in the game. They have a regular home game out in California. And so like building connections with people when over something that you like are genuinely interested in and enjoy doing, and that other people enjoy as well. I think that's going to be pretty key, because you don't know how those sorts of things can be beneficial later on. You know, it's always way easier to get introduced to somebody through somebody that you know than it is to send a cold email to somebody. So using this sort of a group and maybe other groups like this are going to be pretty beneficial, I think. And that's it.
Awesome. Thank you for those words of wisdom. So at 8:10, we're going to have the tournament start, which Andrew will be playing in as well. If you're already like registered and ready to go, like feel free to hop off this call and just get set up on PokerStars. If you're having any problems with setting up, the exec team will stay on this call and then help you set up. And we'll put up instructions again. But good luck, everyone. Top prize gets a $150 gift card, and then there's also prizes for second and third place as well. So participate.
Yes, bring it on.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
See you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much, Andrew. See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew, what's your user?
I just set it up. I think I'm going to be 2 Live Drew.
No, not Grandpa Ed.
Not Grandpa Ed. Different name for every site. So you'll find me
Look, those are just the hands,
2 Live Drew.